Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, I would like to give a short legal seminar this morning on police lawsuits. What I mean by police lawsuits, I'm speaking of police misconduct lawsuits. The same standard also applies to jailers and deputies. So what I'm discussing is going to apply to law enforcement in general. First and foremost, you need to understand that these police officers have something that's called qualified immunity. And what that means is that they cannot be held accountable for certain conduct. It's very limited. And that legal question of qualified immunity, are you ready for this? This is what happens in every police misconduct case that gets fought. They will file a motion to dismiss right off the bat claiming qualified immunity. Whatever the court in the lower court rules, usually a federal district court rules, they have the automatic right to appeal that to the circuit court. Then, if the case comes back, if you win that, if you're somebody who filed the lawsuit, then when there's something called a motion for summary judgment filed, they have the right to appeal that and go up the ladder too. I'm not making this up, folks. If you file a police misconduct case that they defend vigorously, you're not going to have your trial for 6 to 7 to 8 years. How you like those apples? It's not very fair. When everybody's talking about police reform, that is a reform that needs to happen. Because when there's a real police misconduct case, let's face it, folks, 99% of cops are all right. It's that 1%. Remember what I always say, half of lawyers are only okay. Think about that, though. That long to get your justice, that's not right. And that's the law, and that's the system that's set up there. Nobody talks about that reform when they're talking about the reform. What is a police lawsuit? It's under Section 1983 of the United States Code. And I'm going to read this to you. Unlawful for anyone acting under the authority of state law to deprive another person of his or her rights under the Constitution of federal law. What it basically means, folks, is that if a cop does something wrong, the most easy case to understand is a police officer beating the hell out of somebody. All right? That's the cases that we're normally talking about. Or shoot somebody they shouldn't shoot. First and foremost, no police officer can ever be held liable for negligence. It's not a standard. You have to show what's called deliberate indifference. It's a little closer to reckless, but it's much more than negligence. That's why when I see these lawsuits being settled, let's face it, the Sam DuBose case that settled in Cincinnati was to prevent riots in the city. It was political blackmail. There was no way that case would have ever been lost at trial in the civil case. And they got paid $5.3 million. Same thing down in Louisville. Everybody acts like that's a great case, a great case. They settled it because there's a Democratic mayor who wants to settle it and pay it and go away. If those lawsuits and the Breonna Taylor, that case would go to trial, the civil case, they would have won. It was negligent. At most, it was negligent. This Kyle Plush case over in Cincinnati, tragic. But it's negligence. They didn't intentionally kill the kid. Negligence. Politically, they didn't pay that one. The city of Cincinnati, I guess they felt like, okay, we held hostage with Sam DuBose, but that was the black community. We're going to burn down the city. The white community wasn't going to burn down the city for Kyle Plush, so they don't settle that one. See how it works? Fourth Amendment. When you bring a claim, what you're bringing a claim for, you have to have some type of a right that's been violated under the Constitution, under Section 1983. It's usually a Fourth Amendment, unreasonable search and seizure, or 14th Amendment, no deprivation of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Killing somebody, shooting somebody you shouldn't shoot. In George Floyd's case, putting your knee down on him. By the way, remember, you still have to prove causation. George Floyd, that case would go to trial. Causation will be pretty interesting. State claims. In addition to these federal claims, you can file state claims. These are the normal ones: assault, battery, emotional distress, wrongful death, false arrest, false imprisonment, malicious prosecution, and abuse of process. What happens is if you get charged with a crime, and I've had this happen in my career many a times, you sue them, then they charge you with some criminal charges. Malicious prosecution, abuse of process. There isn't really probable cause to charge you with the crime. They do it anyway. You also can sue these police officers in their personal capacity and their official capacity. Gets really technical, a lawyer will explain it to you. I don't want to get into that in this short little seminar. Finally, if you are successful in a 1983 claim, you get your attorney fees on top of whatever you recover. The law allows for that. But ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, here are the things I want to stress the most. Police officers can't be sued for negligence. It has to be something worse than negligence. And so many of these lawsuits are negligence. But the politics get the case settled. Sam DuBose was a drug dealer. He died instantly. His case was worth, at most, $100,000 or $200,000 if you won. And they gave him $5 million. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. Have a great day.